can we just talk about this episode? Because honestly, I always feel like, going into the episode, I don't know how I'm going to feel because like I have been like glued to the live feeds, but I loved this episode. One, because I feel like the competitions were amazing, but also like you just get to see how different you get to see things from a casual point of view. Like now I feel like I kind of understand the casuals and where they're coming from because the mastermind edit that Tyler was getting this episode is not what I was seeing this week on the live.
It's so laid back too. Like it's so just like, happy-go-lucky, like exciting. Yeah. Like I get it. Like I get where they're coming from, where it's like, all is well in the world. We're just going to tune in for an hour and then we're done. Not me. Glued to my phone 24/7.
Like literally, I feel like when I watch the feeds, I don't even see Tyler. Maybe because I'm only paying attention to Enzo and seeing what story he's going to tell next. But I feel like I don't even see Tyler unless he's complaining about how much he hates Twitter. But then on the episode, it's like half Tyler content. And I'm like, okay, so that's why everybody who's a casual loves Tyler. So whatever.
Okay, I like Tyler also, but I like Tyler. I do, but I don't see him. I don't pay attention to him on the feeds really, honestly. But
yeah. I feel like they don't really put him on like the feeds much. I feel like he's kind of an afterthought. But then you also have to understand that the live feeds also only have 2 cameras up at one time. So we are still missing quite a bit of just random talk.
Yeah, but let's this episode specifically, can we talk about little Ian and his smile on the diary room? Like I live for his diary rooms. Oh my God.
He's a kitty.
Love Ian. Like he's just so sweet. And I love the segment that they gave him this episode on.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to add things in here, guys. But go ahead.
Being on the spectrum, like I think it's a nice turn from what we usually see in Big Brother episodes. So it was nice.
I totally agree. I like that they are actually talking about things on the episodes. Like we want to talk about that a little bit. We're deciding that we're going to, cover actual issues on the episodes so that the casuals can see that. Interesting turn of events.
I mean, it's definitely a full 180 from their previous season. I'm not upset about it. I am a little curious as to the reason why, but I can't hate on it. So yeah, I mean, things you love to see, decent editing.
Yeah, it's very interesting watching. Coming from going into the house and knowing everything or knowing a lot of what's going on in the house to watching the show now and getting such little information and then comparing it to the live feeds. For whoever's not watching live feeds, you're missing a lot of story and background. First, I wanna apologize. I know that we had told everybody either 8:20 or 8:30, so there are people kind of trickling in, and that was a technical issue on our end. I'm having a lot of technical difficulties.
But we're just thanking God that you're safe. I don't know if you guys saw Jessica's Instagram story, but her neighborhood really got hit by that. So honestly, just thank God that you're okay.
Yeah, thanks. Chicago never gets tornadoes. One touched down on the near north side and dissipated into the lake, and we got the aftermath. And so like my neighborhood was destroyed. We didn't have any power. I'm not in the house right now. I'm actually in my condo. So it's so I've been having a lot of technical difficulties. So today might be a little bit more off with trying to to get our bearings, but yeah.
That's okay.
So everything's good. We didn't say welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Girl Let's Agree to Disagree. If you don't follow us, I just kind of wanted to say it again. If you don't follow us on all platforms. We have our Instagram, girl_LATD. we also have the same now a Twitter. We have a Twitter. Yay. We just put it together. Follow us on that. And all of our channels, click like, subscribe. I just kind of wanted to get that out of the way before we start talking some more, because it's just kind of like a weird, I've been kind of frazzled, and I know that you ladies are a little frazzled with getting me on. So I apologize.
No problem. I mean, I think the main thing is that we're glad that you're safe. We're also glad that you're safe, Mac. We see that your neighborhood got hit really hard too. So, we're just glad that everyone's safe.
Absolutely.
So thankful for that. Also, all of the people saying hi, and like, you all look beautiful in the chat. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. Thanks for coming, even though we were a little bit late. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump right into things. Like this week, I feel like it's crazy that we have the first week of feeds. Like the first week in the house, we have feeds. And if anyone from production is watching, to make sure that Jessica and I aren't talking shit about you guys. First of all, we're not. But if you want any sort of insight from us, can you please give us first week feeds every single season from this season on? I feel like this is so necessary.
Absolutely.
We're just seeing how crazy everything's changing. There's 10,000 alliances going on in the house right now, you guys.
Yeah.
So many.
It's so helpful. It's so helpful because then you don't just come up and you're like, oh, so I guess they're together and they're together. You see it forming. And so it's so interesting to see it, especially for me, because last year was my first season. And so now I'm damn, if this would have happened last season, things would have made so much more sense to the non-live feeders too. It would have clicked a lot more in people's brains, I think, what was going on there.
Yeah, you miss it. There's, so much that you miss. I think that that first week, obviously live feeds are on now because these are all-stars. They know the gist. They know what to say and what not to say, in quotations, because I feel like a lot was said, a lot of shit talking, actually. Not a lot of gossip.
If you're not an all-star, you're over the age of 18. You know what not to say.
You just shouldn't be an idiot, honestly. I really don't feel like it takes that much. Also, this is coming from somebody, I get it. I've never been in there. I understand that. But also, it's you go through the process of casting and all of that. It's how can you claim that you don't know? It make sense to me. It just.
Jess can attest to this. Before they turn the live feeds on, they sit us down for 10 minutes and they're listen up. The live feeds are about to go on. Watch what you say. Yeah. Watch the way you say it. We have a briefing. So.
And then you still have people that are what? I didn't know.
Well, here's the thing. Just as we only get to see right now during the live feeds now, like I said, you only see 2 cameras on at the same time. There are definitely conversations that we are missing. There are also people who don't necessarily talk out loud. I wasn't someone who was talking out loud. Kemi would give those glimpses of, I don't believe that shit. Or, she would give, the audience, she would give the fans a little bit more to let them know that she's not a dumbass and that she understood what the hell was going on. You know what I'm saying? But there are other people like me, I played and all I did was talk to the DRs. And the fact that the diary rooms only show about 5%, depending on how they're editing, how they're editing, then you're never going to know how I felt, how Kemi really felt, or how anybody else really felt during that exact time, because they never showed the DRs. I would love to see a time when they actually show some of the DRs to kind of give you that background, because they could say anything. Tyler's saying yes to all of these final 2s, as you guys saw on the show. And they showed in his DRs that he understands he can't say no to people who are telling him that they want to work with him. However, he's not the only one with a ton of final 2s. There are if you watch the live feeds, you'll see. I mean, like Cody has a ton of final twos. They didn't show, they didn't show the final two between Nicole Franzel and, and Ian, the Millionaires Club, final two. They didn't show the Bay and Day on the show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry, because I was working on technical difficulties.
Yeah,
but there were, but there are still a ton. Like, did they show the core and the Connect Four?
They showed the Roots with Cody and him, and they showed the Millionaire Club. So I think like now people know about that one a little bit more. But no, I get what you're saying there.
Yeah, I think one of the stronger alliances that they didn't show that I can't wait to see like how it blossoms or falls apart is I think they call themselves Connect Four.
Yeah, Connect Four.
Day, Bay, Enzo, and Cody. I really, really like that alliance. So I can't wait to see how that kind of shakes out. I don't know. I feel like Enzo is one person this season who I can say he really came to play. Like, he doesn't care who he cuts. He doesn't care how he cuts them. I think he would also cut Cody. I just think,
he's just there to play, and I love that. It's so entertaining to watch. Honestly, like, it's just interesting. I think that like from looking at this past week, it's a little bit boring. Like, I know we said this earlier. Like, it's a little bit boring, honestly, because they're still getting their bearings and everything. And like, I get it. They're all getting their bearings. I think that like anything could happen. I know everybody's like, oh, it's obvious. Like, next week this is going to be whatever, and like these groups are forming, but I feel like things could really shake up still. Like, next week, depending on what the competition is, like, I think it could be a completely different house than what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and I agree with you. You see someone like Nicole Franzel, right, who was literally, crying and shaking, saying that Janelle, scares her. And she's like, oh my God, Janelle is scaring me. She's going to put me up. All of these like crazy things. She's not crazy, but I'm saying like she was saying all of these things. And now on the live feeds, she's like, I'd like to work with her. And she's saying it out loud. So these are, and this happens from like week to week to week. So for someone to say this is exactly going to happen, is it really? I mean, there's changes all the time, unless it's me. And then I really don't want to work with somebody. When I really don't want to work with somebody, I probably won't. Like, I never worked with Nick a day in my life because I was like, that's not going to happen.
Say Bella, because we all know how Jess feels.
Well, no, I didn't have. So before feeds on our season, I knew I wasn't going to work with Bella, and then I got into an alliance with you, Bella, and Nicole.
Well, I'm joking.
Yeah, but that was specifically to keep the enemy close. You know what I mean? Because I didn't trust Bella. I just didn't trust her. So
somebody in the chat said, I'm curious if there's any merit to the pre-gaming alliances. I definitely think there 100% is some merit to, I mean, maybe not in everybody's case, but there 100% is at least some merit to the pre-gaming alliances.
I think even if it's something as small as like someone, I mean, I don't want to get too into this, but like I had people like who I had never spoken to in the Big Brother community adding me and like liking a bunch of pictures and like sending DMs like with like looking eye emojis who are now on the season. And like it's little things like that, like looking eye emojis. Like if you know All Stars is coming and you know people have been like reached out to, like a looking eye emoji, like if I sent one back, then that's kind of like, oh, okay, I see you.
They want to like make that connection. And, I know there were calls made. I know that there were 100%. And so it's like, you can't say that it wasn't. And I think one person in particular that's really interesting to see, or one group that is interesting to see, is the Franzel and Danny connection, because it's obviously there. It really is, and it's so strange because they don't even talk that much, but it's like they obviously have some kind of something from before, and like I didn't even realize that they were close before, like going into the house. But if you go back and look, like they comment on everything of each other's on Instagram. Like they definitely had a relationship going in. And it's like, I didn't understand like at the beginning, like why they were like going together, but now it makes so much more sense. Like
I think Franzel, she's just like a very connected one in particular, like Danny and then obviously Cody, but also Janelle. Like someone mentioned that she was invited to Janelle's wedding, and I know if it's my wedding, I'm not inviting anyone from the Big Brother community unless we're actually friends. Like
friends, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not just inviting you because, you know, you're a hashtag alum. Like that's not going to happen. So I don't know, but even when they're talking behind each other's backs, it seems very not friendly. So I'm not sure what's going on with that.
I mean, but you also see someone like Janelle who in the feeds was talking to Danny and was like, you know, people can't really see us talking, but we're good, right? And they'll talk it out as if like it was very an unsaid, maybe pre-game alliance of like, we're never going to talk to each other, but we're going to connect on certain things.
Exactly what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. If I were to pre-game with this cast, I would probably hit up maybe David, someone who I didn't really connect with on my last season, and be like, just the same way Bailey and Tyler are doing. Like, you know, let's play this up. Let's keep our distance. Everyone knows that there's this rift because it was obvious. Everyone knows that. But we've, you know, behind the scenes work things out, because Angela and Swaggy, like being super chummy, that just started. So there was obviously like something. There's a connection.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even blame them. Here's the thing. Like, I know people get kind of up in arms about it, but like, I don't really know what you expect. Like, honestly, like if you give them that much time, like CBS kind of like dangles that in their faces for long enough. Like, of course they're going to. Like, it's like, of course they're going to message each other. Like, unless you have them in sequester from the moment that you start like teasing that, of course they're going to message each other. Like, I don't know who wouldn't. Like, if you were in that position, I would definitely be messaging an old school player, a new school player, and somebody that I feel like could be my like ride or die till the end.
Absolutely.
The first person who DM'd me about All Stars was before the All Stars rumors like leaked to the public. It's while it was still like in the alumni network. Like, she was like, so like, are you going on All Stars? And I'm like, I'm not going to go on. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wait a minute, are you going to go on? Like, wait, is this actually happening? Mm-hmm. And yeah, so there was pre-gaming before, like, yeah. Before
it was even official, like 100% that it was going to happen. I mean, there was like times when people didn't know that it was going to be able to happen, you know, due to COVID or whatever. People definitely were talking even then. And somebody said, do you know if David and Nicole A have an alliance?
I don't think so.
I don't think they did. I think David especially was genuinely like surprised in a good way to see Nicole. And I think the same thing for Nicole. I don't think they knew that he was going to be in there at all.
That looks like
I don't think that they're going to form any sort of alliance. I think that they have that connection because they're both nice people and they both played together previously, but I don't think they're going to cement anything.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it going forward. I mean, also, it's really damn hard to read David right now.
I think it's really hard to read a lot of people. And I mean, including not just David, but like I kind of can't get a good read on Nicole A either. And she's definitely playing kind of a very similar game as what she was playing last season, which was obviously she's a very sweet person. She's nice to a fault. You know what I mean? So she's definitely going to be nice. The thing is where she's kind of leaning, where she's kind of leaning toward.
Yeah, I feel like it depends on the house.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kimmy. You can go ahead.
No, I was just saying her reads are like all over the place.
They're all over the place, and it's because of literally, I guess, just like the trauma of last season. She doesn't trust anybody, and like I don't blame her, but like I think it completely depends. Like her game right now, I don't feel like she is very much in control of her game right now. I think it's very much dependent on like which way the house sways next week. And so I think she could either be in a really good position or she could be on the block next week easily.
Yeah, so someone here said, like, she can't, Bruce said it, she can't help but work with the outsiders. And it's true. I think there's something about Janelle that, like, intimidates, someone like Nicole because they're such polar opposites.
Yeah.
And given, look, we're looking at someone as Janelle, who's like a 40-year-old woman with kicking up her Louis Vuittons like it's nobody's business, taking off her coat to play, a complete icon, so full of confidence. And we're talking about Nicole, who's just coming into her own at a whole, at a whole 30, 25 years younger, than her, or not 25. Oh, I'm so sorry. Like,
how old do you think Janelle is?
Janelle's 40, but but Nicole is 25. But we're saying like a whole 15, a whole 15 years younger, and so you could tell that Janelle is trying to kind of take her under the wing of sorts, and
but Nicole doesn't trust it.
Sorry.
Exactly.
I just said Nicole doesn't trust it.
Yeah. But I think Janelle's also someone who, like, the people that she has around her are a more forceful presence. So I'm not sure that she is even receptive to a personality like Nicole. Like, I think she could probably have an entire conversation with Nicole and just kind of, like, not even think about it ever again. Like, it's, like, kind of like a throwaway conversation. Not, like, no shade, no tea on, like that's not a bad thing at all. But I don't think, like, her personality doesn't gravitate to someone like Nicole the same way Nicole's personality doesn't gravitate to
someone. I think, like, Nicole gravitates to people who, like they said, like, are on the outside looking in. Someone like Kevin, she can identify with because she's been in that place. She's very on an anti-bully stance. And although nobody on this particular season is bullying anybody, there is that sense of power, like you do see someone like Kevin who feels very belittled by the people that are in this house. Like, he cried to Cody, he broke my heart. Like there's things like, oh my God, but people look at you like you're an icon, that people look at Kevin and they look up to Kevin and they see, like, probably more brilliance and more, they identify more with Kevin than they would with someone like Cody. And here Kevin is just, like, feeling so left out and feeling so out of place. Very much like how Nicole has said before that she has been. So obviously that's gonna, it's like attracts like, So I get that.
I mean, I feel like it's really hard on, like, I feel like it's easy to empathize with people like Nicole or Kevin who, like, wear their hearts on their sleeves and, like, are literally like a bleeding heart, open wound. But I feel like it makes the game 10 times harder for people like Janelle who aren't as vulnerable, who, like, are just kind of a tell it like it is personality, because it's kind of like, oh, I can't read her, so, like, that makes her dangerous. And it's like, maybe she's just chilling. Like, maybe she's just like kicking it. Like, maybe she's not sitting back plotting, strategizing. Maybe she's really thinking about the fact that she doesn't want her fresh new Louis Vuittons to, like, touch the hard surface. She just wants to walk on the carpet. Like, maybe it's not that deep, but some people like to see that vulnerability in others, especially in a game like Big Brother. And if they don't, it makes you an automatic target.
And it's so different, like, how it's received to people too. Because, like, I know for me, if somebody, like, that I really wasn't very close to came up to me and was immediately, like, super emotional and super, like, vulnerable with me, like, as, as nice as that is, I'd be like, that's kind of sus. Like, why do you trust me already? Like, we don't have, like, I would think something was up with you. And it's so interesting how people see that differently, because some people would be like, oh, okay, like, they trust me, like, we're in a good spot. And I would be like, why do you feel this comfortable with me already? Like, do you feel this way with everybody? And then
would you be vulnerable with me right now if I wasn't in power? Probably not. But I feel like that's, like, some people, like maybe Hannah and myself, are very cynical in that specific regard. Like, if somebody came to me with their heart in hand when I now have the, like, 10 minutes before I put people on the block, and they come to me, like, literally, like, crying, you are 100% going on the block right now, because now I feel like you're trying to manipulate me and I don't like that. So
I would feel that way even if I wasn't in power. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, I just don't like that. Like, I feel like it's sus. Like, I just don't get it because it's just not who I am. Like, I wouldn't do that myself. And so it's just completely different for how different people react and like receive things. And it comes from like your upbringing, your personality,
absolutely. And it's why, and shocker to people, I'm pretty sure this is a well-known fact that before going into a house, like these house guests are doing psychological testing. We are getting read. We are taking 500, questionnaires talking about, our personalities and how we view the world and how we would perceive certain situations. Like, we are not just thrown into a house, willy-nilly
wait, we were kind of thrown in comparison to this season because we didn't have to take a implicit bias test our season. And
the training.
Yes, the implicit bias. The implicit bias, which in my case, if I don't think worked very well on this particular house guest who is now HOH right now because he was gonna put up the two minorities either way. So implicit bias can mean a lot of different things.
Wait, who was he gonna put up?
Cody was gonna put Kesar, and he put up Kevin. Those are two men of color, and said, I have no connection to them. Those are like, definitely for me, that's an implicit bias. You don't connect with them because you don't know people like them, or there's just nothing that you have in common. That's what an implicit bias is. It's like there are biases that you have based on who you hang out with and who, like, you're cool with Memphis. You're cool with Enzo because he's an Italian Jersey boy. And so those are implicit biases right there. So the fact that Cody would know, in my personal opinion, the fact that you're taking a implicit bias test and still be like, I'm gonna put up Kesar. I'm gonna put Kesar up. Can't do that. I'm gonna put up Kevin. Like, you can forever just say that it's because you don't get along with them, but why? Why is that?
Well, and exposure.
Sorry, David Jackson didn't take the test.
No,
this is the first season, and that's also just mind-blowing to me that in 20 years of a social game, no one ever thought that there needed to be any kind of like bias training.
On that ass a few years ago, I guess.
Well, I just but like, just to get to your point, like, I mean, I think there's some merit in that, honestly, and it's something I like. As a white woman from the South, you don't really always think about it. And like, I mean, I can see things from miles away that are very blatant, like things that happened last season. But I mean, genuinely, I really hadn't thought about it the way that you just talked about it. And I think that that's something to think about. And, now looking back, I see, he also talked about doing David as a pawn. And so now I'm like, well, shit, like,
yeah.
I didn't even know.
And not only that, but he was confusing David with Kevin and changing their names up. And it just happens to be the two black men in the house. Like, again, I'm not stating that he's racist. I'm not stating that. I'm saying that these are biases in general. These are things that even if you're taking, tests, even if you're learning about Martin Luther King, even if you're not, I mean, all these things, it doesn't matter. These are great
biases. Like, it might be, in one way, form, or another. Like, everybody has them. It depends on like where you grew up,
absolutely,
how many, like how your school was, like, how many people of color were you exposed to? Like, I think
absolutely
that's how it comes to. And so it's like, I'm not saying that Cody is like a bad person or anything.
Absolutely not.
Like, I genuinely think that it's something that people have to unlearn that are never exposed.
And that's hard because this is like literally decades, hundreds of years of unlearning.
You have to admit that like that was the case. And that's what's hard for people sometimes, is to be like, because nobody thinks that like they're a bad individual or that they're like a bad person. But anyways, we don't have to go on that tangent forever. But I just thought,
no, absolutely. But we will say, like going back to like the whole HOH and who he decided to put up and why some of like just the people who are up feel feel out of place. Kevin, someone like Kevin is saying, he's looking at these people and he's like, oh my God, they're all icons. They're like, what am I doing here? And I'm like, Kevin, you're amazing. Like, what do you mean? What are you doing here?
Wasn't he came in third his season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin was pretty amazing. Like
he got out Jeff. He was right there. He did play a good game. Some would say like he did also play kind of, I mean, he's used to, like he said, he's used to playing sides. And that's what's so hard about this first week is that there are no, and that's how I felt. I felt like there are no specific sides. Everybody's playing nice guy. Everybody's saying, oh, nobody's talking game to me. All of these,
I'm really surprised that like David and Nicole weren't put up first. Like if they were going to do the whole like nice people thing, like I would put up Nicole, who is just like, the sweetheart who wouldn't take it to heart. And then David, who is like easily the one who's a little bit more out of place because he was the first night boot. Like if they were really going to play like, oh, let's play nice this season, like that's how I would have gone about it.
I think it could come down to also like people who are more fresh in your mind. It's like, for people who haven't watched in a long time, like I didn't know who Keesha was. I didn't know who Kevin was. I had to like research them and look into them. And so, I mean, like, we all know some of these people did not research before they went into the house.
He was saying like he had no idea who Keesha was, and he never watched, I think, like Janelle's second season or something like that. He never watched, I don't think he watched Ian's season either. So yeah. But like as far as Cody goes, how do we feel about his HOH? Because I feel like Cody, I think he made really good use of his HOH. I feel like no matter who wins next week, no one's gonna put him up. Like even Kesar, who should, like, or Janelle, who should, aren't gonna be putting him up. So
yeah, I don't think he's ruffled feathers really, and like I think that's hard to do sometimes with this. But he didn't make like a clear divide in the house from what I can see. Like it's still like there's still potential. Like people still feel like they're like it's kind of on their side and everything. So, I mean, I think he did a pretty decent job as an HOH, honestly. And it's good that he, had an ally that didn't mess it up. Also, Kevin was so damn close to getting that. Like he could have rocked it up, and it hurt. It hurt to watch that.
When you say Cody's ally, which one out of the 15 were you talking about? I just wanted to double check because it seems like he's in like at least like 5 or 6 final twos. He says in the diary room that Enzo's his guy. I think that's his solid final 2, but maybe he says he really does trust Nicole Franzel. So how do you like which ally?
I know it's not Tyler. Like as much as the powers that be want to push Tyler's mastermind edit on us and that he's so well ingratiated with the house, that is not what's going on. Like Cody
not yet.
Trust Tyler. Like, I mean, he does, but he doesn't. Like, I feel like as far as Cody's multiple final twos go, there's Cody and Enzo, then Cody and Danny, then Cody and Nicole, then maybe even Cody and Bailey, even though he doesn't have a final two with her, they're very close. And then Tyler. Like, Tyler has a lot of alliances right now, but I don't think he's like number one in anyone's hearts. It's very, very weird.
I think he's higher up on Cody's list than that.
You think so?
I do. I don't think he's above Enzo, but I think he's above Danny, and I definitely think he's above Bailey. But that's just my read. So I mean, like, it can all be interpreted different ways, and we don't have a lot to go off of yet, but that's just my read. And I think that Cody trusts Tyler more than Tyler trusts Cody. That's what I'm getting from it. But that's what I see so far.
I think Tyler, if he opened up a little bit more to Cody, he would be Cody would trust him a little bit more. like I feel like Cody's one of those people that like if he can read you, then he, you know, he's gonna get closer to you. And I feel like Enzo is so like out there and in your face, and like he's not just like bouncing the conversation back to you. He's like contributing to it more in a more substantial way. So that's why he's like a lot closer with Cody.
Yeah.
Whereas Tyler is just like agreeing with everything, which makes him like so like I love Tyler, but I mean I can see it's easy to see why Cody's closer with Enzo.
Yeah, Cody seems to respond well to people opening up to him a lot. Like he doesn't give it back a ton, but he seems to really think that like he seems to really respond well to people being like vulnerable with him. And so
I won't be vulnerable with them. It's so weird. Like he wants to take it, but he doesn't want to give it.
Yeah. I don't blame him, honestly. I really wouldn't want to open up either, but
I feel like I need someone to shake it up. I really like how Kesar is like very, I keep on saying Kesar, but how he is being so like aggressive, you know, he's like playing hard. He's one of the few that are playing like super, you know, super hard. But I mean, given from what like, he has like this little bit of like cocky confidence going on. Like he's, like, and I love it. I absolutely adore it from him. I love to see individuals that are very confident in what they do, you know? And so that like him coming in, knowing and getting that good read on people, like that first day where Kesar, Janelle and Nicole A were talking and got like the whole house on red. Like it was amazing. You know, he had such a great read on people. He knew he was getting targeted. And that when they played for the suite, you know, for the safety suite, I loved it. The only thing I wish was that Cody would have made it. And I said this on my Twitter. I really wish that the nominations would have been locked in prior to them playing the safety suite. 'Cause I don't like how unfair it is for everybody to know that you feel unsafe in the house and not be able to give that HOH, you know, the same in return. You know what I mean? Like it should be both ways. Like Cody should have been able to make the nomination. What was that?
I think especially on All Stars, like it would have just created a little bit more friction. And
absolutely.
Like, I mean, I'm not trying to like be a Debbie Downer, but this week for me was boring. So like I feel like that would have definitely spiced it up a little bit. Or like even like you see Enzo saying that he wanted to backdoor Tyler. Fuck yeah, like spice it up. Or like imagine if Enzo and Kesar were working together. Now that is something I would love to see. Two people who are playing very aggressively, one more apparently than others, just kind of trying to steamroll through the house. I love that. It excites me.
I totally agree. I'm ready for next week. I'm ready for things to be shaken up a little bit. I'm very interested. Ovi and I were talking about this earlier. He seems to think that it is either going to be an endurance comp or really like a luck comp, honestly, depending on what happens next week. And that's going to be who gets HOH. That's what he thinks. Endurance. If it's endurance, I think Christmas could be a contender, obviously. Who else we got there? Cody, Tyler would be good people for those as well. Kesar understands that all shows should play like it. True, Miss History. You're very right. Kesar's one of the only one actually like giving us something. And it's crazy. We barely even saw him.
Sorry. Yeah. No, I feel like he's the only one who right now, him and Janelle are really the only ones that are playing like all stars. Everybody else is kind of playing scared. And I don't blame them. Like they're all trying to fly under the radar. You see someone like Danny, who is such like a force to be reckoned with. And she's kind of, you know, just sitting back, you know, you got someone like Bay, who is just like such a breath of fresh air. Like she's just jumping all over the place, smiling, you know, she's just in this good social space right now. But they're not making like moves, or they don't want to be the first ones target. I mean, like, there are a lot of them are in a really, really good place.
It's interesting, and I'm happy. I'm very happy that Bay and Day are in the place that they're in, because they're very much so in the middle. I think they're one of the only ones that are really riding that middle spot very well. And it was interesting. I think it was, I don't remember which one of them it was on the feeds talking about they don't want to win HOH next week. But like, damn, I wish one of them would, honestly, because it would force them to do a little bit of something. But I'm also like happy. I'm thankful that they're not a target right now. And I get them not wanting to be. But like the other, like the strategist in me is like, I want to see you do something.
But I feel like even with the fact that that's their mindset, if they were to win HOH, I easily see them putting up Nicole and maybe like Ian. You know, the things that.
Which Nicole?
Nicole Anthony.
Yeah.
And Ian. Like, I see that being the case, which for me leads to yet another boring week. Like, there are bags under my eyes from watching the feeds, waiting for something to pop off at this point. Like, I literally need like Enzo to be on the block. So
that would be, that would be something interesting. Yeah. You said which Nicole, and I think that's something to talk about too. Bay and Day, they're not going to put Franzel up on the block, because Franzel is like number 4 on like Devon's list of like the people that she trusts the most. Even after, you know, all of their history, she's still on her list of the people that she said that like she feels the most aligned with. So they're not going to put Franzel up. I don't know who they would exactly, but it's not going to be her.
To be honest, it really surprises me. Me being who I am, there's no way in hell, as much as I would love you, like if I knew you already won a season, you are already on the top of my list. That's it. Oh, yeah. Like, there's no way, if I was in a house, do I want a two-time winner? You know what I mean? I don't want to see it. Like, if I was in the house right now, it actually kind of would be very interesting to see how that maneuvers, except that neither the two that are in that millionaires club they're not very interesting in terms of like good TV, unless you just want to see Franzel like cry all the time. Like, to be quite honest,
I'll argue with that. I think Ian is great TV.
No, Ian's adorable. I love watching Ian. Like, he's the cutest thing. But I'm just saying, like, on feeds, I need something to happen. Like, I'm very surprised that for Franzel not being a girl's girl, which she has said she's not a girl, like, girls don't like her, that there are so many girls that are like, that are on her side. And I have a feeling that once they watch the season, they're going to be very, very pissed off at her.
Honestly, like, it's their fault. Like, if you like don't, like, I even knew that as like somebody who is not like, wasn't a super fan in the past. Like, I knew that Nicole Franzel doesn't have a history of working with women, and like, it is what it is. You can say what you want about it, but she doesn't. And so at that point, it's like, also, it's just kind of like, you should have done your research with that. Like, I'm just like, damn, I don't really get how like people don't see through that.
See, that's my thing about All Stars. I feel like if there's anyone that I don't know how they play or how they operate, who's on the season, they're my first target, because I need to play with, like, I'm like a devil you know kind of girl. Like, I need to know what I'm working with so I know how to deal with it. I don't need any like random variables being thrown in there that I have to like figure it out along the way, because honestly, like, you could snipe me before I snipe you. Is that insensitive to say?
I don't know. See, and here's the thing, and I disagree with that, Kemi, because I don't like, if I know how you play and I know that it's going to be detrimental to my game, I want you out. Like, simple. I can love you as a person and not get along with you as a player. And I think that we've seen it a lot. There's a lot of, there's a lot of Big Brother players that you see, like Kemi and I weren't really aligned. Like she'll tell you right now, like we've had these talks before. She didn't trust me. I didn't trust her inside the house. We were even in an alliance together and we still
none of you trusted each other.
Yeah, we didn't have that level of trust there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would consider now Kemi one of my best friends. But why is that? You can, I mean, I don't know how I would do in a season with her. I mean, now that we're best friends, I guess. But if you didn't align with someone in the house and they were back inside the house, like give me a Nick, like my ass is still gonna go after him. I'm gonna go with all. I'll be like, nice buddy. Sorry, Nick, if you're watching this. Like, I would be buddy with everybody, and I'd have to get his ass out because I just don't trust it.
You'd rather get Nick out versus like Rachel or something from season 6.
Yes,
like,
because there is
operates.
Yes, because that's like saying that you would go back to your ex-boyfriend every single time versus dating someone new.
I don't think that because it's literally the opposite. So it's like, there's that saying and it's like, what's the definition of like insanity? And it's like doing the same thing and expecting something different. They're going to do the same thing. And so, like you can read them. And that's why like with me, honestly, like with the way things are going this week, like that's kind of why like I wanted to talk about this, like the Keesha versus Kevin thing. Like I like Kevin better and I like watching him better. I would want to keep Keesha because like the way that she has been acting like this whole past week is really just kind of like it's just boring. Like she doesn't really seem like she like is trying super hard to me.
Yeah.
And Kevin is all over the place. Like, hey, I really want, like, I'll do anything. Like, I'll do anything for you. And he's selling his soul to all these people, which I get. Like, you have to do what you have to do. But Keesha doesn't just seem like she gives a shit, honestly. So, like, I think Keesha is, like, safer person to keep.
So I'm now that you kind of like transition to that, I'm gonna put down the eviction predictions, y'all, because I guess that's what we're gonna start talking about. Have 15 more minutes. Mm-hmm. And so we're going into eviction predictions, right? So just to refresh everybody's memory, we've got, bam! Oh, look at the draft picks, guys. Mm-hmm. These are all of our draft picks. As you all know, Kevin and Keesha are nominated right now, which means that basically either Kemi's draft pick is going home or my draft pick is going home. So
notice how none of my draft picks.
And you were the one complaining about that snake draft, like you got like the worst of the worst. You're like in the best position right now.
You guys still did me wrong with that. I'm gonna be totally honest, but it's okay because it worked out for me. God looks out for his children.
Like, America's pick is really situated this week. Like, Christmas is doing really, really well.
Yeah, look at everybody's draft pick. Christmas, your girl Labor Day is in a good spot. We won't see her.
She's also grown on me.
Like, I was like, we won't see her. Too. We won't see her out before Labor Day. That's for sure. I think
she has grown on me a lot. Yeah, in this past week, I'm like, damn, like I really didn't know a ton about her, but with everybody calling her Labor Day, I was like, something's got to be wrong. But like, I really like she's grown on me. Like she's definitely not my most disliked player in that house by any means.
No, I will tell you, like, you guys, the way that I was thirsting over Cody just a week ago, that has definitely changed. This week I am very excuse me.
What?
Don't remind us.
So remind us about she's talking about Christmas.
No.
These are a little behind. The things are a little behind. She said, "Girl, don't remind us about Christmas being their draft pick." That was that was the thing.
I'm like, Lacey, I thought we were here. But yeah, it's crazy the way, like, when you watch someone 24/7 and you see like the ins and outs, like your opinion of them can definitely change. Like, Christmas has grown on me in ways that I didn't think would happen.
I totally agree. People become so much less attractive when you watch them 24/7. I think that's why it was like used to be so easy to like idolize like celebrities because you didn't know like what was going on in their life and everything. But people are really just kind of like disgusting.
The big one said, is Labor Day Davon or Christmas? No. Why would Labor Day be Davon? No. We're talking about Christmas. We're talking about Christmas.
Did not work this season. You know what? I'll do it for her.
No.
I'll do it to her.
So we're so a lot of people were talking about Keesha, right? So Keisha's gone. She's not even trying.
She's offering food.
Okay, but also expect the unexpected. Like, you never know. We could have one of two things happen. She could go really, really hard tomorrow during like the what is that time called, Jess? When like we get the vacuum and all that. I don't know. That little
during
period.
eviction, during
like
live, right before live eviction.
Yeah, like she could go really hard during that period. You never know. We could get another feeds leak. You never know. Or people could wisen up to what Hannah was saying and see like she's really a non-threat. She won't even campaign for herself. Whereas Kevin is over here, you know, offering me the kitchen sink. And if he's offering it to me, imagine what he's doing to everyone else. Like,
he's offering it to everybody. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about was like, I really didn't. And I mean, to be fair, they only showed a segment of the way that he's been campaigning. Maybe Keisha don't want to be there. Shit, I don't blame her, honestly. But
it's rough that first week. Yo, I didn't want to be there the first week after I was nominated.
For the 40K and now she's out. Listen, the way I would be on some Keesha shit if I...
But Kevin, so like tonight when on the episode, when he is approaching people in the bathroom, I hated the way he went about his campaigning. He was like, hey, you know, I don't want to put you in a bad position, but, and then he would go into it. And that was something that I always learned through like college with like political science and everything. You never lead any statement with a negative because then immediately in the people's minds who that are listening to you, they see it as a negative too. Like they see whatever you're saying to them and whatever you're asking them to do as something that's like going to put them in a tough spot, even though it really wouldn't that much because most people are on the same page, but he's framing it as such like a negative thing. I don't know if anybody else caught on to that, but I was like, this is so not like marketing 101. Like,
no, I completely agree. Jess and I were just talking about this like maybe a few hours ago. I had just like made a negative comment about something right before I got on a phone call to talk about that exact thing. And it changed the entire way I had that conversation. So I completely agree. Like, I think a better way to have put it is maybe like, you know, I really want to help your game and here's how I think it'll work. You know,
absolutely.
You frame it as like you're helping them. And, you know, I get it. People in this like position are desperate. And I mean, that has to be a terrible like position to be in. But like, just like to me, I was like, God, like, why are you leading this way? Like, why are you leading it with such a sad story?
Yeah, Keisha's definitely playing. It's very disheartening to see her, but like when we look at it, it's kind of like she's. I kind of understand it because it's very much in the place that I was in the beginning of the season. You're an older woman. I mean, Keisha's older than me, but I was the oldest woman in the house. And there's a certain way that you feel about just like being disingenuous at a certain, for me, at a certain age where you're just like, I'm not gonna bullshit. Like that's why I enjoy looking at Janelle. I love how she's just talking. She's like, is it gonna happen? Is it not gonna happen? What's gonna happen? This is what's happened, blah, blah, blah. She has no time for bullshit. Like after a certain age, I feel like nobody has time for bullshit. Right now, Keisha's just like happy to be there, but she's not gonna kiss Cody's ass to
but
stay.
Janelle's not on the block.
Yeah.
Like Janelle's just chilling. Like Keisha, like I get it. I feel like I'm a no bullshit person either. Like also, but it's like you gotta bullshit. Like this is a bullshit game. Like it's a bullshitting game.
Keisha also, she probably never thought she would be in this position. Like after all these years, she comes back and then like some like bro puts her up on the block because like stroke his ego for 2 seconds. Like I would if I was Keesha, there's no way I would think that I would be, even anywhere near this position. So
yeah.
And I did see a conversation between Keesha and Kesar where he mentioned to her, like, the house is leaning towards you. So maybe this will light a fire under her ass. And
I hope so. And I appreciate Kesar being like real with her in that moment too. But I want to know, because we're like getting close to that hour mark, who would you guys vote out and why?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess when we're looking at it depends on whose point of view you're looking at, right? So I could totally see myself voting for either or right now, depending on the relationship that you have with that person. Right now, it looks like Keesha's not really making those like solid relationships other than her old school ways. And even that, Memphis doesn't even have her, you know what I mean? Which is very disheartening. But you have a point. Like, Kevin is promising everybody everything. Not the type of person that you really want. Like, he is your definition of what an actual floater is. A lot of people think that floating is not a strategy, and it totally is for those people who, I don't know, just feel like people just float around in the game doing nothing. Like, floaters literally float to the direction of power every single week. They go and they take all of the information they have, and whoever's in power that week, they're there to serve the person, with enough information to not be put up on the block. That is what a floater is. And I see Kevin doing that in a very floater-esque way. However, he does have, like, I feel like he has Day, he has Bay, he has Nicole, and those four could really do some damage. Maybe.
So who would you vote out, Jess?
Well, if that was part of them, then I would vote out Keesha. But obviously, at this point, I'd probably work with Kesar and Janelle, and so I would keep Keesha. I totally would. I would keep Keesha because it at least, like, I guess this is how you guys are talking. I know more or less that Keesha would be on my side. Well, I would know Keesha's on my side, and that she's not going to just be going floating around and trying to figure it out, because that's what I would need. So I don't think Keesha's going. I don't think Keesha's staying unless, the Nicole Anthony magic works, and she is also literally the angel of death this season again. But, for those who don't know, we gave Nicole Anthony the term angel of death last season because everybody who got evicted was like Nicole's like kind of like BFF that week. So we kind of knew who was going to leave based on like who Nicole was hanging out with the most that week. So that's a little fun fact. People, it is a joke, but if Kevin leaves, that means that she is definitely still the angel of death, and like Keesha has one more week because Nicole's been hanging out with Kevin so much. But
we'll see.
I know that sounds like really odd.
Kimmy, what do you think?
I would definitely vote out Kevin. Like, I personally think that I would click with Kevin more. I like Kevin more, no offense to Keesha, but like I would vote Kevin out because out of the two, like, he's the gamer and this is a game, and I can see the writing on the wall. If he's ever in this position again, he would do the same thing. If she's in this position again, chances are she would still be trying to, cook cookies or whatever the case may be. And in this game, like, you have to have people's respect. Like, they could both be in the final two against each other. And right now, where the house lies, Kevin's winning because he has more respect with the house. So he would have to go because it would make my chances of winning easier. And I don't care how much I like any of you guys. I met you guys here when I came here to win $500,000. So, Kevin, I'm so sorry. Like, let's kick it. I'll buy the first round of drinks, but you have to go.
Yep. Yeah.
Hannah.
I totally agree. I mean, like I kind of said that earlier, was like Kevin is a I mean, he's not predictable at this point. And I think Keesha very much so is, and I agree with Kimmy. Like, I like Kevin better from what I can see. Like, I think Kevin is someone that I would like, you know, hang out with more so in real life and like get along with or vibe with more so in real life. But like Keesha seems more just like go with the wind, whereas Kevin is just like, Kevin's just all over the place right now, and it's just not reliable. And so it's like, yeah, I still going back to like the devil, you know, like I want to know where your head is at, even if it's not with me. It's better than it's like you bouncing all over the place and like messing up.
Wait. So you're saying that even if it's not with you, even if you know this person wants you out and they're on the block, you're gonna keep them? Just
not necessarily, but I think that like it's better to know where the numbers are. So say there's like 3, you know, prominent groups forming, and you know that there's, you know, a couple over here, a couple over here, and you know, the group you're in, whatever. Because I mean, that's very much so how the house is kind of like going right now. There's little groups, kind of like micro groups everywhere. I think it's a lot smarter to know where someone is and like where their vote is going to lie than someone who could just completely just like flip and like mess everything up. Because then in your mind, when you're counting numbers and you're doing that, you have a more like reliable count on that. And so I don't know, not somebody that I know is 1,000% against me, but like, do you get what I'm saying? Kind of like somebody that you know where they're going to be, I just think is a safer bet, especially week 1. I think it's safer.
Yeah, I think that's like the way that everyone, or at least I don't obviously want to speak for everyone ever, but like that's the way I try to move through life. Like I am gonna go with what I can anticipate. Like as Jose would say, like scenarios. You know, you have to think about the different way things could play out, and then the way like things are impacted by those different like scenarios that happen. So which one is like the easiest route for you to take to get to where you want to be? So like for me, I'm always going to try and go with something that I know because I can anticipate how it's going to play out versus like the unknown. And then once you get there, you know, I have to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think you said it better than me. Somebody said, Hannah, why would you want somebody who's reliably against you? I guess I didn't make sense with that, but that's kind of where I'm getting at it. Is like you want, like what you said, you want somebody that you know where they're going.
Yeah, I think it's so weird, right? I think it's so weird because like, especially in a game like Big Brother, where technically you could only have one shot to make your mark. Like this isn't like I'm gonna win 5 HOHs within the season. Like you have one HOH to make a clear shot to build up your resume. If you only have one HOH and the rest of the time you're like sliding in and out and trying to like maneuver and whatever, what are you doing with that HOH? And that HOH is basically what's going to decide whether you win first or second. Like to me, I got to hit hard. Like, I don't care if it's my second, like if it's the second week, it's the first week, or it's the last week. Like, I got to hit my target because if I know that you are coming after me, you need to go. In this situation, it's a little hard because nobody's coming after each other, you know, and so I understand that you kind of, you know, want to get rid of someone that might just be blowing in the wind, and you want to know where the clear, you know, where it's clearly a definite, like you said, like the defining line, that definition of like, okay, you're staying, but I know that you're not with me, you're with the other team. So like, you're probably going up next if I'm HOH or.
Yeah. I feel like also like interesting for All Stars, like how much does the weight of someone's previous season impact the way you see them this season? Like when you get to the end, if Tyler made no real big moves, do you vote for him over like Nicole? If Nicole Anthony, if she takes out like Nicole Franzel, who's a winner, and takes out like Cody, who came in second place, like if and Danny, like if she takes out a whole bunch of big targets, but she's sitting next to Tyler Crispin, who's like this probably, in my opinion, the biggest legend of the season, or the biggest all-star of the season. Like, I'm sorry if that's a hot take, but to me, he is. If it's Nicole and Tyler sitting next to each other, and
Tyler is the biggest. You think Tyler is the biggest all-star that is right now in that house?
If you think of the first 5 calls who went out for the all-star season, I think Tyler was definitely one of them.
Tyler was definitely one of them.
Yeah, but I don't know if any of the other people this season were one of those first 5 calls. Like, I think Tyler is like very easily like an elite. Whereas I don't, like, you can make an argument for a lot of other people, but I think it's very hard to argue against Tyler being an upper, like, level player.
But they're not going up against Tyler last season all-star. They're talking about what did Tyler do this season.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying, like, how much weight is this, like, cast gonna hold? Like, is someone else's previous season going to come into play when you're casting the vote in the final 2? Or is it only going to be just what you did this season?
I mean, I would hope not. Like, I hope that they can put their blinders on and, like, only see what's happened this season. But I feel like, you know, after a full season, people are in the jury, you know, having hard feelings probably about at least one of the people sitting up there. I feel like people will bring up past things. And, like, I hope they don't. But I feel like...
So this just in, because we have one of our viewers, Mac, who is watching live feeds right now and is saying that Day is campaigning for Keesha to stay.
Yes.
But what is happening? I'm telling you, it's the Nicole Anthony.
Well, apparently there's a lot.
I'm going to keep on saying it's the angel of death at her job. I love her, by the way. So it's literally a joke from last season. So.
Apparently there is a lot happening on the feeds. It looks like there's some stuff going on with Danny and Janelle. Some things going on with Danny being upset about something. The vote is flipping. Oh my God, we got to get off and go on the feeds, girl.
Well, we will. So just before we go off, so there's a lot of, obviously with eviction predictions, we say like, so what's the consensus here? Who's staying? Who's going? I always say there's always room for Keesha to stay. It's definitely a possibility. Do not count it out. I'm telling you.
I think as of this moment, Kevin is staying, but we don't know what's happening right now. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see in the next 24 hours how things play out.
Yeah. But what we do know is that tomorrow is going to be a really good show, because we're definitely going to see this live eviction go in. We will not be talking about it right after. We have decided that we're going to do every Wednesday. And I know that it's really crazy, guys, because a lot of us, we've gotten a lot of calls, and not calls, but a lot of messages to do more than just one recap a week. And right now, us ladies got to get together and figure out if that's like feasible. But we do know that it's a lot of information. Definitely keep us, keep us top of mind. We'll definitely be using our Twitter and our social media to kind of keep everything together, or, to keep you guys posted. As always, click like, subscribe, press, the thumbs up button, click on notifications. We're going to be doing this about every 30 minutes after the hour after Wednesday episodes. Next week, we have a special guest for our eviction predictions. We have the Rachel Riley, who's going to be with us next week. So tune in. We're really excited. We don't know who's going to be on the block, but she will be talking to us about the things that she knows, the things that maybe she knows. I mean, I would assume that she knows a lot more about some of these all-stars, as she has had quite a bit of history with a few of them that are in the season right now. So We're really excited about that. So definitely give this a like. Anything else, ladies? Did we miss anything?
I think that's pretty much it.
Like questions or anything, you can always just tag us on Instagram or message us, anything. Just hit us up if you want us to discuss anything in particular. So
yeah.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want to share this, that would be great. Obviously, it's going to be uploaded after it's live so people can go back and watch again. We would really appreciate it. And yeah, let's have fun staying up and watching this house flip tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. So thank you all. We love you very much. Thank you for working with our technical difficulties as we get everything together. Also, send us, as the girls have said, send us messages. Let us know what you want to know, what you don't want to know, questions, so that we can prepare ahead of time and post those up. We love you all. Someone said, can y'all add the sticker button so we can donate? Absolutely. So sorry. We just don't know where that sticker button is because we're still
we're still figuring that out.
We're still trying to figure all of this stuff out. But we will get it all together. Trust and believe. We love you all. Stay safe. Get on those feeds. And we'll talk to you next week.
Love you. Bye.
As I try to get this outro. Yay. Okay, bye.